It is believed that a man's philosophy is one's desire to know who and what man is. And for this event, I would like to welcome you all to the Virtual Cross-Cultural Symposium addressing the challenges and presentation of various philosophical contexts. And before anything else, let us begin with an opening prayer to be given by Miss Maria Julliana Vargas.
Dear God, we offer everything to you during this seminar. May we ask for your blessing and divine providence that the activities set for this undertaking be successful and effective. May we be a living witness of your genuine love. Through the implementation of the knowledge acquired through this activity, grant us your divine wisdom as we go about our daily tasks after this seminar. These we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you so much, Ms. Vargas. At this juncture, let us welcome Ms. Aiza Palenzuela for her opening remarks.
Good day, everyone. Before we begin our discussions of different traditions, I would like to take this opportunity to thank every one of you for making time to attend the Kumburuburu's Group's Virtual Cross-Cultural Symposium today. We really appreciate your effort and your willingness to watch and listen to our discussion. I hope every one of you will enjoy the rest of the event and will be able to learn from all the presentations. Once again, thank you very much and have a nice day.
Thank you so much, Ms. Palenzuela. At this juncture, let us start inspiring people to do their part in nurturing a more inclusive society. That is why I would like to present our first speaker for today, the ambassadress that will talk about self-divinity and Hindu tradition. Please welcome Miss Hyacinth Angela Orlanda.
Thank you so much, James. Sabhi ko namaskar. I am Hyacinth Angela M. Orlanda, and I am here to talk about self-divinity in Hindu tradition and how a man lives through this philosophical view. Let us first unlock the words from its title. Self-divinity is a process wherein you have a need to discover more about your self-being, especially in the aspect of spirituality. Hindu tradition is the way of life, the religion, the beliefs, and the practices of the Indian people. I bet you already have a bit of an idea of what's going on with our discourse. But mind you, this is an interesting topic, so I hope you'll lend your ears to me. Thank you. What is a man in Hinduism? In Hinduism, a man, or Hindu in their term, has a term called Brahman and Atman. Brahman is the unchanging universal principle behind all things, while Atman is the thinking self, the essence, the fundamental, and the core of each individual. Brahman comes upon within the Atman, and the principle behind the thinking is similar for each and every thinking self. Hindu people give importance to their self-discovery. Self-discovery is the epitome of the quest of the self. It is also the basis of moral and spiritual fulfillment. How should man live for the Hindu people? Aside from reading Gita, the influential religious text of the Hindus, they also had gurus as their spiritual guide on their spiritual awakening. Also, Hindus live by attaining the 4 aims in life that makes them flourish as a Hindu. These are their basis on how they should live. First is karma, the sense of pleasure. Just like sexual activities, vices, or anything that gives off the sense of enjoyment and satisfaction. Secondly, artha. It is the material world and wealth. Money, money, and money, and anything that is materialistic. Third, Dharma. It is the duty of the Indians, the context of helping and serving other people. And last, but definitely not the least, moksha, the spiritual liberation. The basic goal of life is the attainment of liberation, or what you called moksha, the freedom from samsara. It is the cycle of death and rebirth. This is achieved by overcoming ignorance and desires and focusing more on intuition. Also, Hindus live a karmic life. Karma, as we all know, is similar to the definition of Indians. It is an action and a law, or the cause and effect concept. Parallelisms, similarities, and differences in the perspectives and modes of life asserted in the various traditions. Let me state some. Hinduism and Buddhism both manifest the law of karma, dharma, and moksha, and believed in a cycle of rebirth. While Hinduism is centered around a supreme or godlike being, Buddhism and Confucianism, or the Chinese philosophy, are all about the teachings of a man, but they both promote moral and values. Islam believes that your soul, when you die, will either enter paradise or Jannah, or hell or the Jahannam, depending on their actions when they are still alive. While Hinduism believes in the rebirth, or the cycle of reincarnation. Loob, the Filipino concept, and Hinduism both aim for the totality of the self. I will now end here my talk about self-divinity in Hindu tradition. I hope you learned something that you can apply in yourself and in your life. Thank you for listening. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Miss Orlanda, for that outstanding talk about self-divinity and Hindu tradition. Now, may I call on Miss Aiza Palenzuela? She's going to talk about Buddhahood. Aiza, take it away.
Thank you so much, James. Now, to start the discussion of the Buddhahood, man's existential journey to enlightenment, let us know how Buddhism started. Buddhism arose in ancient India when Siddhartha Gautama, also known as the Buddha, discovered human suffering such as death, old age, and illness. He then realized that all pleasures on earth are transitory and could only mask human suffering. After he had attained nirvana, which provided answers to the causes of suffering and permanent release of it, the awakened one began to teach others this truth out of compassion for their suffering. Buddhist forms and practices allowed many different types of people to satisfy their spiritual needs. Now let's answer the question, in Buddhism, what is man? In Buddhism, it is said that man is a configuration of the 5 aggregates or skandhas. It means that man is composed of rupa, vedana, samshna, samskara, and vijnana. First is the rupa, which means form or corporeality. It is made up of elements such as earth, water, fire, and wind. It is a combination or proportionate assembly from elements. Second is the vedana or feeling. It refers to the pleasant, neutral, and unpleasant feelings. It is the result of contacts between internal organs, also known as indriya, and external objects, or visaya, that forms the 12 cases of consciousness. Samshna, on the other hand, refers to perceptions of our feelings, which is also related to the 6 external objects. Fourth is the samskara or volition. It is the reaction of the will to the 6 objects. And lastly, we have vijnana or consciousness. That includes visual, auditory, olfactory, gustatory, tactile, and mental consciousness. Human existence is seen as a formation where man is subject to perishing, arising, duration, and change. Now, how should a man live? A man should live in moderation, or in Buddhism, to live in the middle way. It is believed to be the best approach to suffering because it is a path of morality, control, and wisdom. The middle way allows for maximal concentration on cultivating compassion for others and seeking enlightenment. And if one keeps on holding on to self, the man will continue to suffer. There is also called the Noble Eightfold Path in Buddhism. It is a guide to become a better person, and it includes right speech, right conduct or action, right living, right effort, right attentiveness, right contemplation, right understanding, and lastly, right mindfulness. Just like Buddhism, Konzi's way or teachings of how a man should live are quite similar because he taught people to live in dignity and high morals, while Buddha taught that we are to be guided by the Eightfold Path that would help us to become a better person. And to become a better person is to live with dignity and high morals. These similarities and differences in the perspectives and modes of life asserted in the various traditions are dependent on one's culture or way of life. In Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths are significant. The first one is that life is suffering. Second is that life is caused by craving. Third is that there is an end to suffering. And fourth, the path that leads away from suffering to nirvana is the Eightfold Path.
Thank you so much, Miss Palenzuela. Now, to present about Islam, I would be honored to discuss its pragmatic approach to a wider range. Assalamualaikum. My name is James Loresto, and now I am going to talk about Islam. Islam arose around the 17th century when the Prophet Muhammad began apparently receiving his divine revelations. Muhammad's teachings were not widely accepted at first, but gained popularity as time passed, and his followers became known as Muslims. Through the centuries, Islam is not merely a religion, but also a civilization. The human condition in the Islamic perspective really delves into their evolution of Islamism and ethical foundation. Their growth was eventually inclined to their present concern, which is the ethical philosophy of Islam. Considering the fact that the Islamic ethical philosophy is founded in the Quran, it is indeed teaches that there are three springs towards man attainment of life, or a good life. Man, in the Islamic tradition, is a being in an evolution. According to the Muslim scriptures, the physical conditioning of man is closely related to his moral and spiritual conditions. Thus, morality is never separated from religion and political activities. Top of this is that Muslims believe that people should have great and well-mannered moral perceptions in order to live in a good relationship with other human beings. In Islam, a man should live through having moral precepts, and in order for the reclamation of savagery, they denote the different moral qualities. First, chastity, which forbids both the men and women from engaging in unlawful sexual contact, but there are prerequisites that must be met in order to possess the virtue of chastity. The second moral quality is honesty. Man who follows the natural tendency of his nature without regard for the decency of the occasion cannot be considered as an honest man. The third moral quality is peacefulness. It is simply a moral quality that emphasizes spreading peace and calmness. The fourth and last moral quality is politeness and gentlemanliness, which tackles more about how to treat people with kindness and respect. This certainly requires man acting and speaking properly, giving due respect to whom respect is due, giving reverence where reverence is due. The parallelism, similarities, and differences in the perspectives and modes of life asserted in various traditions really depends on their ways of life or ways of living. In Islam, they jump into the moral conditioning that develops the moral virtues, which are also possessed in the different traditions. The first virtue is forgiveness. It is stated in the Quran, Praise is those who restrain their anger and pardon the faults of the others, and God loves those who do good to others. Next is goodness, which creates a path that makes people kinder. This encourages people to do good for a return of good, which represents justice in its simplest meaning. The third virtue is courage. It resembles bravery, and this moral quality, according to the Quranic law and doctrine, is not a mechanical movement depending upon human passion which flow in one direction. The fourth one is veracity. It can be developed out of natural conditions. It is demonstrating to always speak truth and nothing but the truth. While the next virtue is patience. It reflects the acceptance, especially in loss with total resignation to Allah's predestination, that the dead deserve to be closed under the virtue's moral quality. And lastly, sympathy. To understand this clearly, let us quote the Quran says, "Sympathy and cooperation are enjoined upon towards deeds of goodness and piety, but you must not cooperate towards sinful or transgressive deeds." And those are the moral virtues in the Islamic philosophy, which are all revolves on their being and existence.
Again, thank you so much. And now I would like to call the next speaker to talk about Junzi and China's philosophy. Please welcome Ms. Carlo Fernando Pellosis.
Ni hao. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Carlo Fernando Pellosis, and I am very honored to be here with you tonight as a Chinese philosophy ambassador. Confucius, a Chinese philosopher, is claimed to have been born in China in 551 BC. His work were compiled into the Analects, or Lumio, a collection of saying recorded by his followers. Some of the ideas he taught are well known, including his versions of the Golden Rule. Confucius, as an ancient Chinese philosopher, thought that we should obey our parents when we are young, care for them when they are old, and grieve them deeply when they die. What is man? Man is the center of the universe in Confucianism. He cannot survive alone, but only with other humans. Individual happiness is ultimate goal for humans. Peace is the fundamental conditions for happiness to be realized. Confucius discovered human relations, which he divided into 5 categories based on love and obligation. In order to achieve harmony, war must be abolished, and the world great unity must be built. To Confucians, essentially humans are moral beings. He saw heavens and morality as closely related to the origin and ends. Confucius taught primary strains emphasize man's perfectibility. On the other hand, believed that human beings could be perfected by self-cultivations and ritual practice. Neo-Confucians intellectuals active in the reginations and elaborations of Confucian's thinking from the 11th century onward subscribes to the Vincian line, emphasizing human nature, potential goodness, and the significance of cultivating that goodness through education. Confucius was optimistic about human potential. He wanted people to be sage or wise persons who instantiate the good of the heavens within them. This is accomplished by being benevolent, the results of being moral. Essentially, benevolence is joy. How should man live? The main idea of Confucianism is the importance of having a good moral character, which can then affect the world around the persons through the idea of cosmic harmony. This moral character is achieved through the virtue of ren, or humanity, which leads to more virtuous behavior such as respect, altruism, and humanity. He thought that peoples are essentially good, yet may have strains from the appropriate forms of conduct. The idea of filial piety, or the devotion to the family, is key to Confucian's thought. These devotions can take the form of ancestor worship, submissions of parental authority, or the use of family metaphor such as Son of Heaven. To describe the emperor and his government, the family was most important group for Confucian's ethics, and devotion to the family could only strengthen the society surrounding it. Confucians believe harmony is the key to cultivating oneself and patience with oneself and others lead to peacefulness. Self-restraint is a virtue that minimizes conflicts with others and naturally interviewed with propriety.
Thank you so much, Miss Carlo Pellosis. Now for our last speaker, she will talk about Loob. Please welcome Miss Maria Julliana Vargas.
Thank you so much, James. Now, good day everyone. I've always been intrigued by the idea of what makes us man. And the thing is, it's been a never-ending cycle of asking the same question. So today, I am here to discuss about my own perspectives. Actually, there's no special condition that makes us human. We just simply are. Humanity is our species and human is simply a label given to us right from the start of our lives, right? So, according to Descartes, a man's body is just a material thing, yet he himself also admits that the answer is not as simple as that. Man is a being who thinks and wills. It includes dama, isip, malay, budhi, bait, kalooban, at ugali. Loob, in other words, is the totality of the self. Furthermore, Loob is a world in itself that has lawak. Napakalaki nito. Ito ay mayroong lalim at laman. So, in order to respond to the call of the situation, because it has neither boundary nor limit in its creativity capacity to understand and accept the kapwa Loob as part of its world, right? As such, Loob has the capacity to lumawak, lumalim, maglaman pa o kumitid, bumabaw o mawala ng laman, depending on how Loob opens itself to other Loob. This integration of Loob o pagbuo ng Loob Filipino can find the reason to exist. The reason to be happy. Buo ang Loob is a term that encompasses so many positive traits and thus may be pursued. By the very essence of the word buo, it presupposes completeness, strength, and a firmness. It is strong conviction accompanied by committed courses of action. It is pagbuo ng loob that can provide this meaningful life every Filipino is looking for. Since loob is the totality of the Filipino personhood that encompasses all like malay, dama, isip, at iba pa, it is but proper to say that loob is the object of formation. Filipino graduate must mature his kamalayan, dama, and isip at paninindigan sa abot kaya as a demonstration of one's buong loob. I hope every one of you finally get something from it. And this is Julliana Vargas. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Miss Vargas, for that wonderful talk about Loob. We answered the question, what is man? How should man live? And we also encounter some parallelism, similarities, and differences in the perspectives and modes of life asserted in the various traditions. Let us answer, how should we deal with our differences?
How should we deal with our differences? As the quote said, every man is unique and different to each other, is the same way with the differences of traditions and religions. And all I can say is Raya. R is for respect is a must. We need to respect the differences when it comes to perspectives and beliefs of other people. This is bare minimum, but we need to value them as we value our own tradition and way of life. A. Address the problems that hindrance the tranquility of each traditions. We have to state the difficulties in dealing with our differences so that we could find urgent solutions. Y is for yes to world peace. Who doesn't want world peace, right? And it starts with you, cherishing other people's uniqueness. And A is for accept the differences. We are all special and peculiar in different means, and the moment that we accept it, we learn to adopt and cope in this diverse world.
I think it's quite difficult to deal with our differences because having different perspectives from others might cause, some clashes or conflicts. However, I believe that respect is the best way to deal with our differences. Although we have different beliefs from others, respecting their own opinions, our own opinions and beliefs will help us to live in harmony and avoid us from having misunderstandings. By accepting differences and having an open mind, we might be able to understand them without discriminating or disrespecting their own beliefs. We should be more accepting, but also know our limits or our boundaries, because we cannot force our own opinions or our own ideas onto others, as it will cause no good. We should always encourage to have a peaceful or respectful dialogue so that you would be able to express your own opinions and so does the other person. You need to create a positive environment where you can share your opinions freely without feeling repressed, because I believe that there is no such thing as the right way to deal with our differences. But we always have the option to be respectful to one another regardless of one's personal beliefs or opinions.
For me, just like others, we can deal with our differences through the respect and understanding that divergences exist in this diversified society. Perhaps we can utilize our own ways of life to fully achieve our set of goals. By practicing our own activities, we must consider not discriminating or alienating other traditions and philosophical views. Just like in Islam, we find the 5 famous pillars in the Islamic philosophy. These traits offer Muslims a monastic worldview, which interacts to form a living and a dynamic tradition. The ethics of Islam are key facets that shapes their tradition and their journey of life.
How we deal with our differences. I've always believed that as a society, we are composed with different belief systems, and it's very easy for us to push our own beliefs to others that leads to a misunderstanding. However, if we understand ourselves and as a society and learn the teachings of our own beliefs within us, we're able to tolerate each other's differences, respect each other's opinions, and celebrate individuality. Having a good moral character is way more important than being right all the time. Confucius taught us to lead a virtuous and righteous life, love others, honors one's parents, lead by example, and treat others as one would like to be treated. By 3 methods, we may learn wisdom. First, by reflection, which is noble. Second, by imitation, which is easiest. And third, by experience, which is bitterest. It doesn't matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. Everything has beauty, but not everybody sees it. However, what is important is you recognize that beauty within you, and that is something that you should celebrate. Thank you so much.
We all have our own differences, di ba? Aristotle once cited that knowledge is the beginning of all wisdom. So, I have a question. What makes us human? What makes us different from other humans? Are we like the clothes we wear, the food we eat, the words we speak, or who are we even referring to? The answer to this question can only lead us closer to something more genuine within us, and this can only be abstract because that is simply not who we are. That is simply what we are. The self is a book. I guess I am a particular self the same way everyone else. You are you because you have lived your life, and I am simply me because I have lived mine. So a while ago, I have mentioned that the self is a book. Why is that? Simply because all books have same physical elements like the usage of ink, papers, binding, but what is it really that makes it different and unique? What? I'm asking you guys a question. So if you come to think of it, all books have same physical elements like the usage of ink, papers, and binding. But what makes it different and unique is the story it experiences.
Now maybe we can have a photo opportunity as a remembrance and also for documentation purposes. Alright, so we really have a beautiful people with brilliant minds out there. At this moment, I would like to call Miss Orlanda for our closing remarks.
As we end our engaging and insightful symposium, I would just like to congratulate and commend everyone for doing a great job in representing their traditions. As ambassadors, it is such a pleasure to be here talking in front of people that expresses the concept of diversity to each and every one of us. We may not have the same beliefs, but we are all human beings with a heart and a mind that aim and unite for the same one thing: world peace. Putting aside all our differences, may we all live a meaningful and good way of life as we go through this journey. Thank you. Namaste.
So to all the audience and virtual viewers out there, the Kumburuburus group would like to express our gratitude and appreciation to all of you.
Thank you for listening. Namaste.